Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one, we're looking at 5 players that are underpriced. So, players that I think are worth way more than they're priced at, and I also think that if you start with them, they could increase in value pretty quickly. And now that we've got loads of chips, we want to increase our team value quite a lot so we can use a lot more value in bench boost, in wildcard, in all of the chips. So, let's have a look at the first underpriced player. Okay, now the first player we're looking at is Morgan Rogers from Aston Villa. Last season he was obviously very cheap. I think he might have started at 5.5 million, which is ridiculous thinking about it now. He has had a price increase to 7 million this season, which will have put a lot of people off. Obviously, last season he was such a budget option, now he's been increased. However, I do still think that he represents really good value at 7 million. Now, the first reason for that is Aston Villa's fixtures. Newcastle at home, Brentford away, Crystal Palace at home, Everton away, Sunderland away, then it's Fulham, then it's Burnley. So the first 7 fixtures are unbelievable. They don't play like a traditional top 6 side until game week 8, which is Spurs, which isn't even that bad. It's then City after that. But the first 7 or 8 game weeks are very, very good fixture-wise. So I do think that they are a team to target for our game week 1 teams. Now, defensively, there isn't loads of options. Konza is probably the best option. He's just very, very safe in that we know he'll play a lot of games, but he's not really great for attacking threat. He's not that great for defensive contribution points. So all you're kind of getting is nailed minutes and potential clean sheets, but Villa aren't exactly great for clean sheets either. However, I do think we can target their midfielders and their forwards, and Morgan Rogers is definitely one to consider. So 37 appearances. Obviously, we know how nailed he was from last season. It was kind of a surprise last season. At points, we just thought he'd get rotated and he didn't. So that does bode well for this season. 37 appearances, 8 goals, 11 assists is really, really nice numbers. That's 19 goal involvements for someone who's only 7 million. I mean, like I say, he's had a price increase, which has probably put people off because everyone thinks he's not this budget guy anymore. However, that is still very good value for a 7 million midfielder who is pretty nailed. Shots on target 55, shots 55, shots on target 20, shots in the box 38, so he's averaging 1 a game in the box, which is pretty good. XG and XA numbers are good. Big chances and big chances created are also good. His numbers are good. We know he's nailed. Villa don't really have that many attacking options right now either. Outside of Watkins and Rogers, their kind of other players are like Jacob Ramsey, Donyell Marlon, Leon Bailey if he stays, which don't really take minutes away from Rogers, I don't think. Potentially Buendia can take minutes away from Rogers, but Rogers is clearly the first choice in that position. So I think he's one that is going under the radar a little bit because he's had this price increase. I think he still represents really, really good value at 7 million. Okay, sticking with Aston Villa now, and it's Ollie Watkins. Now, you're probably thinking that, why am I saying he's underpriced? He's priced at 9 million, which is one of the more expensive forwards in the game. However, I do think that he should have been more expensive than that. He plays every single game. You can see 38 appearances last season. There were times at the end of last season when Rashford was taking minutes off of him up front. Rashford's no longer there. The only other striker option they've got at the moment is Donyell Marlon. It's looking more likely that he might get minutes on the wing. Now, the one thing we do need to think about with Ollie Watkins is that Man United are looking for another striker, and Ollie Watkins has been quite heavily linked with Man United. If he goes there, he becomes a much worse option, don't get me wrong. This is specifically if he stays at Aston Villa. Now, we talked about the fixtures when we were talking about Morgan Rogers. Don't need to go over them again. They're just very, very good to start the season. His goals and assists, 16 goals, 8 assists, very good. The shots on target are all just fantastic. Shots in the box is a crazy number, 81. XG, 15.18. For someone who wasn't really on penalties last season, I think he might have taken 1. That is very, very good numbers. Big chances 40 is unbelievable as well. A big chance every game is just very, very good. There's a lot to like about him. We know he's nailed. And this season, there is a very high chance that he could be on penalties. Now, Rashford and Asensio took some penalties last season. We've seen Tielemans take a penalty as well. for Aston Villa. I do think that at the moment it probably is between Watkins and Tielemans. I don't really know why Ollie Watkins keeps getting given these penalty chances, because I think he's got about a 50% record, which is pretty terrible for penalties, really. Tielemans, I'm not sure on his record, but it is much more likely to be better than that. So who knows? But I do think there is a chance that Ollie Watkins is on penalties, and he should get very good minutes now. I mean, for the last 2 seasons, he's outscored Haaland, and Haaland's 14 million. One of those seasons, Haaland did have injuries and didn't play as many minutes. The other one, Haaland actually played more minutes than Ollie Watkins, and Watkins still outscored him. So, yeah, I just think that Ollie Watkins should be priced higher, given how consistent he's been in the last couple of seasons. I think he's a very, very safe bet to start in our Game Week 1 teams if he stays at Aston Villa. Okay, so the next player we're going to look at is a slightly more budget option, and it's Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Now, last year he didn't get loads of points by any means. However, with the introduction of these defensive contribution points, he could be a very good option for next season. So, behind Caicedo, he was second for the amount of defensive contribution points that would have been earned last season had the rule been in place. Meaning that he is one of the better players in the league for these defensive contributions. Now, we know that he plays a lot of games, 37 appearances, pretty nailed in the team. So that's not a problem. The numbers aren't much to speak about. I mean, 2 goals, 6 assists isn't bad. It's not great. For 40 shots, again, isn't too bad actually. More than 1 a game. But all of the other numbers aren't particularly great. The one thing that he could be in line for, though, with Elanga going, Elanga was on a lot of corners for Nottingham Forest. Now, Anderson has taken a few, so he could be in line to be a corner taker. And we know that Forest are actually quite dangerous from these corners. The likes of Milenkovic, the likes of Chris Wood, are both very dangerous from set pieces and from corners in particular. So, Elliot Anderson offers a little bit more attacking threat or assist threat than someone like Caicedo, and at 5.5 million, Anderson could quite easily just be a really nice 5th midfielder option. I mean, if he gets 4 points in 3/4 of his games or half of his games, then whenever that 5th midfielder is called upon, that's not a bad amount of points to have to rely on. So I think that he could be a very, very nice option, just a solid, cheap 5.5 million option. The penultimate player we're looking at is Dominic Solanke from Spurs. Now, last season, he did have some injury issues, meaning that he only played 27 appearances, 9 goals, 5 assists. It's not the best. So that's, 14 goal contributions in 27 games? It's not that great. And when we look at his numbers, they're not up there with like the Ollie Watkins. 60 shots, 26 on target, 56 in the box. XG is only 10, so he did actually underperform his XG. XA is 1.13, so he overperformed there. 20 big chances, meaning that he did miss quite a lot of big chances, but nevertheless, I do think that he is a good option and an underpriced option at 7.5 million. The fixtures, again, for Spurs are really nice to start the season. Apart from Game Week 2 where they play City, it's Burnley at home in Game Week 1, which is unbelievable. Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton is a really, really nice start to the season. The one thing that we need to watch out for Dominic Solanke is that he has got a little bit of a niggling injury at the moment. He hasn't played any pre-season minutes. Now, Thomas Frank did say that the injury, like he's missed out due to kind of precautionary reasons. It's not a really serious injury that's going to keep him out long term by any means, but we would want to see him get some pre-season minutes before we pick him for our Game Week 1 teams, especially as the Game Week 1 fixture is Burnley at home, which is one that we'd really, really want him for. So we do need to see those minutes. But I do think that at 7.5 million, he could be a great option because Son has now announced that he's leaving. Son is the penalty taker for Spurs. We saw Son take the bulk of them last season. We saw Tell take one. But I do believe that Solanke will now take up that mantle as the penalty taker at Spurs. And a penalty taker who should get good minutes if he's not injured for 7.5 million, I think is very underpriced. Okay, and lastly, it's Virgil van Dijk from Liverpool. Now, typically, he has been more expensive. Last season, I believe he started at 6.5 million. This season, he's just 6 million, along with a load of other good options like Kirkes, Aït-Nouri, Gvardiol, Cucurella, Gabriel, Saliba. There's loads of 6 million defenders. But Virgil van Dijk is the one that I'm most interested in. Now, we know what he can offer in terms of clean sheets. Liverpool kept the most clean sheets last season out of any team. They kept 14, which, don't get me wrong, isn't that great compared to some other seasons in the past, but they are, or last season they were the best defence clean sheet wise. So you've always got a chance at clean sheet points. We know how dangerous he is in the air from corners and free kicks. He only managed 3 goals and 1 assist last season, but shots on target 27 for a defender, a centre-back, and 23 shots in the box. They're pretty good numbers. I do think he's probably likely to get a few more than that this season. So he always has goal threat. And what is very interesting about Virgil van Dijk is that these new defensive contribution points, typically the players that do well for them are players that play for not as good teams. So someone like Tarkowski we've seen does very well. Someone like Milinkovic or Murillo or Joachim Andersen, players that, like I say, play for teams that don't do as well typically and are defending more. So players like Gabriel and Saliba don't do great for them. However, Van Dijk seems to be the exception to that, where he just seems to kind of be good for these defensive contribution points. He's got a nice mix of clean sheet potential and defensive contribution points. So his route to points, he's got 3. I mean, defensive contribution points, clean sheets, attacking threat, obviously bonus points as well. So I think that he's a bit underpriced considering the other players who only have 1 or 2 routes to points. Like Tarkowski isn't going to keep loads of clean sheets, but he'll get defensive contribution points. Gabriel and Saliba won't get many defensive contribution points, but are likely to get clean sheets. Virgil van Dijk does it all. So I think that he's going to be a really good option in our teams this season. That's all for this one. If you think I missed anyone, let me know who you think is underpriced in the comments. But for now, do drop a like, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.